Fresno State Bulldogs. It's number 1 on your list, where you're ranked, right?
What? No. No, it's not.
This game at San Jose State, this rivalry, you've been involved in it as a player, as an assistant, as a head coach. What's the significance of it to you, and how do you share that with your players?
Well, it's gone on a long time. You know, I was part of it as a player here, when I was a player here, and always very intense rivalry. You know, always has meant a lot then and now. You know, playing for the V trophy, and you know, so that's a big deal. You know, more than anything this year is, you know, they're a hot team right now. You know, right in the thick of the conference race. They're 3-2. They've won 3 in a row, and you know, so really good football team, very well coached, a lot of ability. So, you know, we have to be at our best. We have to have a great week of preparation, and be at our best to have a chance to win.
You talked last week about the crowd making it loud on first down, second down, third down, and you talked afterwards about them helping you get that win over Boise State. What would it mean to look up in San Jose Saturday and see half red out there?
Well, that would be great. Yeah, no, that's great. Our fans travel well, and that's always much appreciated by our team. And so it'd be great to have representation there from the Red Wave for sure.
And can you give us a general injury update on where you stand with the health of the team?
Nothing really new. You know, always on Monday there's just a lot of bumps and bruises that we're recovering from, but nothing major that, you know, has set anybody out or anything like that as of now. You know, we still have to get through the week of practice, you know, which, you know, as hard as we practice, that's always keep my fingers crossed we can stay healthy through the week of practice. And, you know, so, but as of now, it's the normal stuff that every team has this time of year, I'm sure, you know, especially after a tough physical game against Boise last week.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
After a big win like that, that's clearly very mentally, physically draining, as you just mentioned, how do you avoid sort of suffering from an energy dump going into a game on the road?
Well, it's like it's like anything. It's you have to know how to turn the page, you know, and we have a 24-hour rule, whether we win or we're not successful, to move on. You know, enjoy the win for the 24 hours, and then, you know, you get back right to focus about who you're playing, you know, and we work so hard in meetings and on the field and preparation, the commitment that our players have, you know, they will turn their mind. I have confidence that they will turn their mind to a really good San Jose team, and know that we need to be at our best to be successful.
Hey, Coach. Just curious, you know, when you play San Jose State, you still see Chevin Cordero on the roster, right? Does it kind of feel like he's been there for about 10 years now?
There and at Hawaii, yeah. It feels like he's been around a long time, you know. So, and he's a great player. I mean, he can throw it. He's so dangerous with his legs. He makes a lot of plays with his legs, you know. And he has a really good offensive line and weapons and a great running back, and so they have a lot of weapons over there. And he's one of the major keys for them. I mean, obviously when he can pull it down when things aren't perfect and make a lot of positive yards, very dangerous player.
As a head coach, I'm just curious, how proud are you of how clean of football you guys have been playing? It seems like, you know, the last one, I know you only had one penalty. The little things seem to be, you guys are doing them very well. You know, special teams obviously was a big factor in the Boise win. Just as a coach, how much pride do you take in playing such clean football, and how important is that in these tight games?
Well, it's very important, because you can't afford to give anything away against these teams, and penalties is one of them, so making sure that we try to make sure we're fundamentally sound. I think that's part of it, and really make good decisions on the field and be disciplined. Those are things that we talk about all the time, and something we work on in practice, all the fundamentals and things like that. I mean, that's what's really, I'm proud that our team takes some of the things that we practice and it carries over to the game, right? And so what the coaches do a great job of, our staff does a great job of, is paying attention to the details and the fundamentals.
And you mentioned after the game how Jake had sent a video message along before the Boise game. I'm just curious how that all came about. Did Jake reach out, or did you guys reach out to Jake?
Jake actually reached out and sent it, and then I looked at it and it was perfect. It really was. It was heartfelt, and obviously, we have a lot of alumni, whether it be in the NFL or not, that pay attention to what we're doing, and I think this game meant something to Jake because last time they came here, it didn't go so well. And Jake is obviously a teammate, or was a teammate of a lot of the guys that were in the room. So I think it meant a lot to most of the guys in the room.
Coach, you after the game were praising Malik, talking about how much of a bulldog he is, and obviously his two huge plays in the game. Looking back on it on film, and even just talking with other players on the team, maybe a couple days later, anything else that you want to say about his impact in that game in particular and what he meant to the win?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the kickoff return was huge. Actually, both touchdowns were huge, but it wasn't just that. It was his pass protection. It was his energy that he brought to the game. He caught the ball in the flat a couple times and made some key first downs, making people miss. Just played really, really hard, and going into the game was very passionate about it, and so he's a really good player and is highly competitive, and so it was great to see him have some success, along with everybody else. I mean, it was really good blocking on the kickoff return, and it was nice blocking. He did run through a tackle for the long run, but he's just one guy of 11 that plays his role, and he does it very well.
In a win like that, it seems like Dylan Lynch kind of got lost in the shuffle, but he made 3 field goals, and he's been very reliable for you in the last month and a half. Did anything change with him? Because he was kind of shaky when the season began, but he's been money.
Yeah, he making 3 field goals was great. We always have offense, defense, and special team players within our team, and he was a special team player, going for 3 for 3. But I think that happens. That's your goal, I think, as a football team, is to get better each week in every position. And in his position, I think he has improved through the year. But that's our goal, is to just try to improve each and every week, and so I think he's gained a lot of confidence over the year, and he's doing a good job. Obviously those 9 points are the difference in the game.
Paul asked you about injuries, and you said obviously at this point in the season, bumps and bruises are going to be a part of the team. How was Mikey feeling today? How was he feeling yesterday when you saw him after the shots that he took, and obviously the ankle injury that he came back from a couple weeks ago?
He's fine. Yeah, I saw him yesterday and he was fine, and I haven't seen him today. Today's our day off. I'm sure, the coaches, we're all busy watching tape and game planning, and the players' responsibilities to take care of their bodies, and so I'm sure he'll be in the training room, and then later on in our staff meeting we'll get an update how everyone's doing and things like that. But football's football. You're going to come out of games with bumps and bruises. We have fancy words like contusions and things like that, but really they're bruises.
Coach, what was the evaluation of the O-line and how critical was their execution for your pass-heavy approach early?
Big time. Yeah, I thought they did a nice job because they were coming after us pretty hard, with some blitzes and some things like that. So I thought our offensive line did a really nice job in pass protection. They got us on the one. It was a 3-man twist, and we didn't switch it off. 3-man twist, we didn't switch that one off. But we typically do, but we got caught. Our feet got caught on the offensive line. But besides that, I thought they did a solid job.
What's the sense of where that group's at right now? Does that feel like a corner turning performance or a good matchup, or how do you evaluate overall where they are?
No, I don't ever look at one game as it's turning the corner. This is going to provide a whole new challenge for us, coming up this week. And these guys play really hard and get after you. And so every week there's a new challenge, different guys that you're playing against, different schemes you're playing against. But what I do know is they practice really hard, and I do know that Coach Armstrong does a nice job of preparing them, and they're strong, and they compete hard, and they work hard through the week, so they don't just show up and it happens. They put in the time and the energy, and like I said earlier, the fundamentals and preparation, and but each week's a new week, and so really, I've already forgotten about last week. If you guys weren't asking me these questions, I wouldn't even hardly remember what happened this last week. I have a hard time kind of after about 3 days even remember who we played last. You just get so focused on the new team. And, so all the things you're asking me about what happened Saturday, they're kind of already gone. they're out of my mind. And that's part of the preparation, is just moving on to the next opponent.
Well, it would seem like there's some parallels perhaps to how you guys viewed Boise State last week to how San Jose State's going to view you guys this week. How do you handle some of the extra energy they might bring, and how do you handle being on the other side of that?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt they'll bring the energy. Yeah, there's no question. Like we were playing for the milk can, we're playing for the V. It's going to be the same. There's no doubt. Every time these two teams get together, there's a ton of energy and a ton of passion that goes into it. And like I said, they're very well coached, and they play really hard and very explosive. And, so it's a battle. It will be a battle. I'm sure of that.
It's been November for 6 days now, but there's a quote from your former coach, Jim Sweeney: "The games you remember are the ones in November." What's your take on that quote, and how true is it?
Well, it's true in the sense that typically in November, the conference race starts really shaping up at that point, and while every game is the same for us, we go into every game the same. They mean the same, we prepare the same and all that. It just seems like there's more riding on the games in November, especially as tight as the conference race is right now. You have a lot of teams that are 3-2, right? Air Force is undefeated, and then what are we, 4-1, and then there's a bunch of teams right there at the top. I don't know, 5-6 teams or something like that, and there's still a lot of football to be played. So it's really important to just take every single game one game at a time, right? And that's what we need to focus on. But in what was meant by that November quote was that things start tightening up with conference races and things like that, where, you don't know what's going on into September, right, and mid-October, and you could say at the end of October and November, really, but once conference play starts, and then everything starts kind of getting itself in position, if you're fortunate enough to be in a position to compete for a conference race, then that's really what Coach Sweeney meant about that quote.
And do you think it's easier to get the players' attention to each individual week with the new format? There's no more divisions, so you guys had to beat Boise State if you wanted to make the Mountain West Championship?
No, because we don't even talk about the format. Really. And we don't talk about the format. We just try to win. We try to do our best to be prepared to have a chance to win each week. And I do tell the team that you take care of the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. So, that's our approach of, just trying to focus and prepare the best we can prepare this week, take care of our bodies, and, go compete, but every team we play on our schedule is a really good football team, so you have to bring your A game every week.
And the last thing about playing at Spartan Stadium, thinking now it's called Seth Stadium. Anything particular about playing there? Anything you like about playing there? Anything interesting about it?
No, because it's the first time. I think it's all changed, right? I've seen some pictures of it. What I did look at today is where our locker room, where we come out of our locker room and pregame and things like that, that's changed. And we're not going, typically we go and we don't practice at the other stadiums, but we do go just walk it. But we're not able to do that. This week they have something going on the field. So, from what I understand, it's different than what it's been, right? So I don't really know. I remember, we played there numerous times. Obviously, I played there as a player, and but it's good for them. They've redone their facilities, and from what I see on TV or whatever, they look really nice. So, congratulations to them for getting that done.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning. Coach, can we just get your overall takes on how the defense performed against Boise State?
Well, it was a battle, like it usually is. I think there were ups and downs throughout the game. There were some things we clearly have to do better. Our tackling wasn't as crisp, but that had a lot to do with the guys we were tackling. 24 is a fine running back, very physical, strong guy. We made a couple of errors that enabled them to continue drives, and our pass rush discipline wasn't what it needed to be at times. On the other hand, I thought it was a really, really strong group effort. When we met yesterday and I looked around the room, it was almost like every guy that got in the game made some sort of impact play in the game that made a difference and helped us win the game. Right from the guys in the back end covering to the linebackers to the guys up front. It was, really when you looked at the game closely, that's what I saw. I thought, we went in trying to limit the explosive plays by number 80, who had caught a ton of deep balls and was averaging 20 yards a catch. And they did target him almost 20 times in the game. I thought that was an incorrect number. I went back and watched it again to see if that was true, and it was true. And he had like 80 yards or 85 yards on 8 catches, so about 10 yards a catch. And a couple of the ones that he did get for substantial yardage were mistakes that we made. So I thought we did a decent job in that respect of not letting them throw the ball over our heads. Particularly, I thought AZ had a really solid game, played well, and took that challenge to heart.
You got a big interception for Phoenix Jackson. Can you share a bit about his development and how big that play was?
Yeah, Phoenix is really coming on. He's a very good athlete. Loves the game, loves to practice, loves to play. He's got a ton of energy. The players all feed off of that. and excuse me, we were in a 8-man drop coverage where Phoenix was a low player in the hole and just did exactly what we want that player to do, and they tried to get a crossing route, a shallow crossing route in behind him, and he just came up with the big play, and it was when they were driving the ball, so it was not just an interception, it took them out of scoring position. So he's really getting better. He made the tackle right there at the end of the game that made them hurry to kick the field goal. His role will continue to improve, and not just improve, but expand as we go forward down the stretch.
And there seems to be quite a bit of continuity with San Jose State's offense. Just what stands out to you different about this year's team that you're facing?
What stands out is, I think this quarterback is perhaps the biggest dual threat type guy that we've played all year. He's got a really good arm. He can throw the ball exceptionally well. And they do have some design runs for him, but he's more of a threat just when plays break down or he just scrambles. And when I say scrambles, I mean, these aren't 10, 12-yard pickups. This guy can run, forever. And, in our game last year against them, we tried to spy him, and on paper it looks good. But when it happened in the game, he ran for about 30 yards on us. So we had somebody assigned to him, and that didn't work out. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board to see how we can contain this guy. But they've got 2 good running backs that are averaging over 6 yards a carry. They've got a quality group at receivers, solid group up front. This is a good football team. They're averaging 400 yards a game. They're impressive in that I think they're 28th in the nation in scoring offense. They're averaging 33 points a game. So this is a very, very good football team offensively, and it'll be a big challenge because they can really throw it down the field, and that combined with their run game, makes them very dangerous.
And I wanted to ask you about that run game. They got 2 of the top 15 rushers in the conference, in Conley and Robinson. How did they rotate between the 2 backs?
Well, they both get their share of carries. One is a bigger guy, and number 7, I believe it is. He's 5'10", 205. So he's a more physical runner. And then the other guy is a little guy. Sometimes you have a hard time finding him back there. He's like 5'7", 190, but he can scoot. And they both have good breakaway speed, as you see when you see their average, over 6 yards a carry. So I think they'll just rotate them in. Sometimes in certain situations, certain plays will be featured, but we're still in the process of really studying that at this point right now.
How did Zillian Hamilton do such a good job against McAllister on Saturday? I mean, they threw at him 7 times, and he only allowed 2 catches.
Yeah, and the catch, a couple of them were, one was a slant on 3rd down, and another one was kind of a curl or stop route in front of him. He never let him get over the top, and played with really good technique on the interception. He just, took the challenge, was focused on his technique, had a really good week of practice, actually had an interception in practice that was very similar to the one he made in the game. And he's getting better every week. That's a position where you kind of, you have some ups and downs as you start to develop at the corner spot, and hopefully he's an ascending player for us as we move on here.
How different is the San Jose State offense from last year when you guys kept them to 14 points?
Not a lot different. I've gone back and looked at our game from last year, and there's a lot of similarity in terms of the scheme and what they're doing. I think they're, that game if you remember last year, they were really hot coming in here, and that was where our defense kind of took a really big step that night, and from that point on played really well the rest of the season. But had you told me going into that game, I think the final might have been, was it 17-10?
I'll say 17-10,
17-14. I think it was 10.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. But anyway, it was that was a team that we felt very similar getting ready for last year. That they were explosive. They had, the quarterback is the key, and we're going to have to find ways to slow them down.
Do you anticipate having Cam Rocca for San Jose State?
At this point, it's tough to say. He was feeling a little bit better yesterday. I know he's with the training staff as much as he can be right now. I hope we may have him back, but I really won't know till later in the week.
I don't think Coach Tedford's still in the room, but I want to ask you, he celebrated a birthday on Friday. Did you guys do anything for him? I mean, I know he probably just wanted to focus on the game, but as somebody who's known him probably the longest on the coaching staff, what did you do for him?
What did we do or will we do?
Whatever, yeah, either one.
Did you say his birthday was last Friday or this Friday?
Wasn't it last Friday?
Last Thursday.
That's
I'm sorry,
Thursday.
it's Thursday.
So you can tell we really didn't do a whole lot. That's thanks for reminding me. But no, we'll have to have a belated birthday celebration at some point. But like I said last week, birthdays, holidays, stuff like that, they don't really happen much during the season. We just kind of move on to the next game, and like Coach was saying, you literally do forget things that happened just a few days ago because you become immersed in what the next challenge is.
Do you think Coach Tepper would like a surprise party? Is he one of those guys?
No, I don't think he does not like surprises. But trust me on that one.
Just wanted to follow up about the running attack for San Jose State, because Conley, number 7, is a kid from Central High School, and we saw what maybe a player playing with a little chip on their shoulder with Malik, what kind of performance can come from that sometimes. When you look at him on film, give me a little bit more about him, and just from your perspective, when a player maybe feels like, hey, they're playing their hometown school or something like that, have you ever seen a case where it just raises their energy level, their performance?
Yeah, I think that's kind of human nature. You want to prove yourself, but I also see it happen time and time again that emotion that you go into the game with kind of, I won't say it dissipates, but once you're in the game, you're just playing the game. You can come out there all hyped up and excited. Sometimes it could work to your disadvantage because you're so geared up for the game. But it comes down to execution. He's playing very well, and he's dangerous. So, we're just going to have to do everything we can to try to control him and the rest of their team.
What's your impression of kind of over the years, the San Jose State-Fresno State rivalry, and just kind of what do you think is the personality of this rivalry? Well,
last time I was here, I knew how important it was, and we were fortunate to play well against them. And but it's always an emotional game, much like the last game we had. Our guys at this point in the season, we talked about it in pregame last week. It's we have to have, like if you were in the NFL, it's playoff time. It's win and have the opportunity to get the next one. And if you take control of that, great things can happen for this team. But you have to win each week. It's that mentality. If you win, your goals are getting closer and closer to accomplish. That may sound simple, but that's really what it is. So the intensity level in the preparation and in the performance each game, it doesn't matter who you're playing. The rest of these regular season games, if we're going to get to have an opportunity to play beyond that, we got to win. So that's kind of the approach we're taking.
Coach, what's the impact you've seen, just for himself, but for the domino effect of having a healthy Isaiah Johnson back out there?
Isaiah is he's very consistent. That's the beauty of his play. He's a very good player, but he's got that veteran savvy about him, that little subtle things that happen in the game, his recognition of bootlegs and getting out in the quarterback's face as he's breaking the pocket, but affecting the play quicker than most guys because he's seen it before. And he's able to process that and take the coaching that Jethro gives him each week. So he has a very high football intelligence, I should say, and football IQ. So, and he plays physical. There's a couple of snaps in the game the other night where they tried to come and kick him out, and he takes on the blocker and just stops his feet right in the hole, and the hole's constricted, and someone else makes the tackle. But, he's had a really good attitude. Those guys are playing. This is their last go-around, so these games are really important, and Isaiah's really stepped up.
And, a lot was said about the crowd last week, and the hope was that the crowd could help your defense make some big plays in key situations. Was there a moment or two where you felt like the crowd had a hand in what eventually happened on the field?
Well, I think the crowd probably was the loudest it's been all season at times. I got to be honest with you, the loudest when there were 7 seconds left in the half, we took off to go down, and we were in a golf cart, which takes us back to the facility, and we heard the loudest roar probably heard all year long. And I figured it's probably not the hot dog race, but it's not somebody kicking a field goal or something. But sure enough, when we got to where we could see the scoreboard, we saw our PAT field goal team lining up. It was incredible. We never saw the play on the special teams play, but yeah, we hope that the crowd can make a difference. We'd like to get some people jumping offside on passing situations, that the crowd affects the hearing and the clap and so on. So we appreciate the crowd very much.
Last thing, you were asked about Phoenix earlier. I think of him, guys like Malik, Maurice, they all came here as walk-ons, but now they're guys you really depend on. What does it do for the rest of the team when there's a guy who had to earn it that way and sets that kind of standard?
That's a good question. I think it gives hope and energy to the other guys, realizing that if you continue to do the right things on and off the field and carry that bulldog edge about you in your preparation, that good things are going to happen down the road. And I think we have some young guys right now on our team that are going to also benefit like these guys have, but they've earned it. They've earned every bit of it. And so you love to see that because it makes guys that do receive the scholarships appreciate it even more, because they've had to go out and prove themselves, and I think the other guys acknowledge that too. Whenever coach does give someone a scholarship like that and announces it to the team or so forth, you see the energy in the room. Everybody is so happy for them. So that's a good thing, and those guys certainly are making a big difference for us.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Some nice attire there, Coach. You want to tell us where you got that, what it is?
No, I love our players, so felt like supporting them.
That's EB, Eric Brooks?
Yes, sir.
All right. Speaking of Eric Brooks, so, I mean, he had the huge first half of the season, and we haven't seen as many numbers. How have you seen him handle that as other guys are getting more and more touches and your offense is being successful, whether he's involved a lot or not?
Probably how you would expect Eric Brooks to handle that. He doesn't complain ever. Last year, Nico Remigio came in and took a lot of time from him on the field, never complained. This year, Jalen Gill's come in, taking some time on the field from him maybe, and hasn't complained. So he's handled it well, and I think that just when you talk about just team players and guys being happy for other guys' success, I think we've seen other guys in the room step up and make some plays and get some opportunities, and he's been just one of the best teammates you could ask for with that. Just so supportive. So I think that that's probably been the main thing, is that other guys have had some opportunities and made plays, and it's not intentional that it's just the ball's kind of gone other places, and but yeah, he's handled that well.
And Coach Tedford said a few times Saturday night that Malik played possessed, was the word he used. Did you have a feeling before kickoff that Malik was going to do something special Saturday night?
Well, he told me the first play of the game was going to go to the house. So when he found out what it was, I mean, it didn't obviously, but I mean, his level of focus is always high. We do know that he's a difference maker from a energy standpoint. He's kind of a spark plug for us. So he's always kind of like that, but he definitely had a little bit extra edge on Saturday night.
And for San Jose State defensively, they had a D-line last year that was, as old as you could possibly be in college football and really effective. What do you see different about this year's Spartan defense?
Well, they were so dominant up front last year, personnel-wise, and they're still good up front. Don't get me wrong, but they were so dominant up front, so they could do some things with their front, to kind of affect the coverage a little bit more, maybe, and still be able to stop the run, still be able to get pressure, maybe with bringing less guys, and so they're not a lot different as far as structurally. They still have that stuff in their package to be able to drop more guys into coverage, and which I would anticipate we could possibly see. They still have the ability to do that. But that was probably the biggest part of their defense last year, was their personnel up front was so dominant.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
How has Malik's health as of late helped really balance this offense for you guys in terms of your play calling?
Yeah, his health, we took it into consideration when he was kind of coming back off of the shoulder and the ankle early in the season. Obviously Elijah Gilliam was getting more carries, and it was a little more split load. But you got to play the hot hand, and so definitely as he's gotten healthier, he's been able to carry the ball more. Been more involved in the pass game. So definitely been an emphasis to get him involved more as the season's gone, as his health has improved.
Hi, Coach. I was talking to Coach Tedford about it, but I looked at the stats. I think there was only one penalty on the Bulldogs as well. I'm not sure where it actually came. I think it was a 15-yarder. But was it a game maybe where the offense was completely clean in that game as far as penalties?
No, we had a hold on the perimeter. The receiver held on a screen to Malik.
Even just if it is just one penalty, that's really good, right? In modern college football. Just how much of an emphasis is that? And is there anything you guys do in particular, to kind of drive home that point?
My main emphasis when it comes to penalties is eliminating the press box to snap errors. So a lot of that's on me to make sure that the personnel gets in, the call gets in, those things. Making sure that just the operation on the sideline, that gets effectively done, the signals are clean. Because if we can eliminate those, penalties are going to happen post-snap sometimes. I mean, a guy's, whether he gets beat, just out of position, sometimes it's penalties of aggression. Sometimes, you get called for a hold and it's like, nah, that's not really a hold, but, it maybe looks like it because you're dominating the play so much. So the post-snap ones are going to happen sometimes. Obviously, as a program, we make a big deal about the discipline penalties. And that's something that, those are kind of never okay. But at the end of the day, the press box to snap ones are the ones that I emphasize the most and that we do as an offense, because I think that those are the frustrating ones more than anything.
And I know you're up in the booth, so you're not down there on the field with him, but I'm just curious, what's it like to coach somebody like Malik Sherrod as far as, balancing? You want that raw motion, you want that raw energy, but at the same time, you want him kind of dialed in at times too.
Yeah, it's one of his strengths, the emotion and the energy that he plays with, the passion that he plays with. It's absolutely a strength. At times, that can be a detriment for some guys. And just from the box, one of the big things that I try to be highly aware of is just the body language on the sideline. And, one of the things, if I see something, I might say, hey, send Malik over to the phone, or, send Mikey over to the phone. And so, I'll try and get a hold of them from the box. But when you have a guy that plays with a ton of passion, you want him to play with a ton of passion as long as he has the ability to control it. And, Malik is very aware of his style of play. And as a coach, you got to embrace that. You have to. And like I said, it's just a matter of just making sure that it's not to the detriment of the guys around him, really.
And then just one quick thought on the receiver position, and specifically Josiah. You talked about him before, how he's kind of growing and gaining confidence. We saw against Utah State. But I think that was another step, right, on Saturday. Made another incredible one-handed catch in that game. Just for a young guy who's so physically gifted like that, stacking a few solid performances, what can that do for him? And does that just get you extra excited as an OC?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting because he's shown flashes of that along the way. And when all of a sudden, he gains the confidence, I think the thing that stands out is when you watch him, even on plays where he's not getting the ball or not running a route, just the speed that he plays with, he's just so visibly confident. And I think it's like anybody, confidence is the thing that really makes guys go from good to great, and I'm excited about him because everybody's known the talent it was there, and now you're starting to see it kind of come to fruition, but he's starting to see it come to fruition.
Coach, Mikey goes out, and obviously the first thought is, okay, well, we don't lose a step if we have to put Logan in. But Mikey's dealt with an ankle issue, a knee issue, and he had his shoulder thing in the second half. Do you contemplate changing your play calling up to where he's not hurt? I mean, does anything change in that decision making?
I'd love to keep him not hurt. We've adjusted things protection-wise, along the way. But it's not necessarily in the mindset of keeping him from getting hurt. It's to keep him upright, and so, but that's week to week anyways, schematically as far as kind of what a defense poses challenge-wise in the protections. And we don't ask him to run a ton, we don't, it's not like we're calling a bunch of zone read plays or power read where he needs to pull it. We're conscious of that, like that's not really, the game that he plays. But yeah, we're always going to try and do our best to protect him and kind of keep him upright. And sometimes, that gets beat. Some of our best protections the other night were 5 guys, we free release the back, and one of the times that he's scrambling was actually a max protection thing that just got split, so that's always the toughest part, is balancing the protection piece versus, how do you attack a defense? Because the worst thing is you keep 7 or 8 guys in and then they play drop 8, which we've seen a good amount this year, and 3 guys running routes against 8 guys dropping isn't going to help Mikey either.
There was one play, I forget how much time was on the clock, like 7.5 minutes. You guys are right at the goal line, it's like 2nd and 4, and Logan comes in, which forced Boise to call the timeout. Was that the reason why he came in on that play, or had Boise not called the timeout, you were gonna run a play with Logan back there?
We were going to run a play with Logan. We had some stuff kind of dialed up for Logan as far as at the goal line and short yardage, so we were going to run a play with Logan out there. They actually had 12 on the field, and I'm sitting there in the box yelling, "Snap the ball," and the O-line was making calls at the time, so he didn't feel comfortable snapping it until they did that, which is smart on his part. Then they burned the timeout.
If you guys let it fly early in the game, how critical was the O-line's pass protection to allow you to do that?
Extremely. We made an emphasis. We were going to let the ball go downfield, and they did a great job protecting. Really all night. Some of Mikey's shots that he took, as far as getting hit, were actually on RPOs that maybe he could have handed the ball off, or that's the thing. They call RPOs risky protection offense. And so that's the thing. Sometimes you're going to get hit if you do pull it. And so when the O-line was protecting, for the most part, they did a really nice job.
The last time San Jose State was on the field, they shut out a Hawaii program that's usually known for scoring the ball. Is there something you're seeing more recently in their film that's standing out with this click for them last couple of weeks?
No, they're just really sound at what they do. And, really, I know Coach Coyle, talked about it just as far as that they're playing really good football as a team, for the last few weeks, offense, defense, they're playing complementary football, and it's not necessarily anything that they're necessarily doing different schematically. They're just they are very sound, and they're just getting better as the season goes.
Being relatively newer to this program, what do you know about this rivalry, and what has been your perception maybe compared to the one you just had last week?
Probably my main thing was just kind of the education of how the rivalry started. Boise was a FCS program until, whatever it was, late 90s, and I think the milk can wasn't even invented until 2005, so just knowing that just the history of this rivalry just goes way back, and you just talk to people that have been around the program for a long time, this is viewed as the rival, and Boise's just kind of, as they've gotten better, it's become significant. So probably just the longevity of the rivalry.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
You shared words on the field after the game and complimented you on your downfield throws. What led to that?
Well, I've been waiting for that compliment.
Yeah.
So.
I gave it to you after the game. I haven't seen that.
Hey.
What led to the early aggressiveness against Boise State?
Well, we've talked about it, on Mondays before. Is sometimes, you don't hit some of those, and you kind of go, okay, we need to get back to the stuff that we're most confident in. We felt that we needed to push the ball downfield. You saw it at the end of the second half of the UNLV game. We kind of adjusted, and we just felt like we liked the matchups on the perimeter. And again, a lot of it has to do with the O-line protecting, but we just felt like there was some opportunities to take those. And then I also wanted to make an emphasis to empower Mikey, like, hey, like 2nd and 10's okay if we take our shot. Like, we've overcome way worse than 2nd and 10. So if we take our shot and miss, we're okay.
And they only did a really good job. He had 3 seconds to throw on all those deep downfield throws. Was it something different in terms of protection that led to the longer time to throw, or was it just they played their butts off?
Probably a little bit of everything. I mean, sometimes you've got the right call versus what they've got, and because that's a little bit of it is, when they're rushing 4, you hope that if you've got 6 in protection that you're hoping that you're going to keep the quarterback up and be able to throw it downfield. So a little bit of it was just kind of timing of it, with things, but they did a great job in protection, at the end of the day.
And last thing about Josiah, I know you answered a question about him earlier, but what led to him playing more? Because he had more snaps than Jalen Gill last week, and I wanted to hear you guys to why.
Well, when he stepped in against Utah State, when Mac went down, he was averaging probably 10 to 12 snaps a game, and they played 63. And what I saw from him was that he was ready for more of a workload. So I do believe that when you can rotate guys, you know, and let guys kind of play series and let them get into the flow of the game, when they can handle that and you feel good that there's not going to be a drop-off of level of play, you know, that's really where you start seeing depth develop. And that's really kind of, that Utah State game was a big deal for Josiah, because it just, as much as I say it gives him confidence, it gave me confidence that he can go out there and handle the load from that standpoint. And then the way I look at it is, if him and Mac are playing evenly, I get a fresher, better version of both of them.